Hey everybody, it's Dr. Joe here. Sorry about that. We have some technical issues here. Hope you're doing well on this Wednesday evening, wherever you are. So we've got another great session lined up. We've got a special guest and Fitz and Corliss. And as you'll know, we do have an event on Saturday here in Washington, D.C. For those people who are in the Washington, D.C. area, you may want to come along. We're going to be doing the second part to the session that we did, a couple of months ago when Fitz and Corliss, who are new investors, decided to purchase a house in Washington, D.C. and transform this 3-bedroom, 2-bath ugly duckling into a beautiful swan. So that's what we're going to do today. So without further ado, let me bring in the guests. And hold on a second. Oh, let's see at the stage, and there they are, the one and only. And so on. So yeah. So welcome, Fitz and Corliss, and for those people who don't know, Fitz and Corliss are in the Washington D.C. area, and they did a BRRRR strategy from start to finish. And they've just completed it. In fact, we just got a tenant. But without me talking about it, maybe let's first of all introduce Fitz and Corliss, and maybe they say a few words about who they are and what got them inspired to take this journey. Okay, guys.
Thanks, Dr. Joe. We're glad to be here. We're pretty busy people and stuff, but anytime we got time for you to be here. Um, as Dr. Joe said, my Fitz and Corliss. My name is Fitzgerald. My wife is Corliss. I usually go by Fitz. She go by CJ a lot of the time. But this has been a pretty nice process. What do you think, there?
I I just want to say we are new investors to the DC market. What inspired us to invest was we were invested in another state and we sold those properties so that we can just invest closer. And we were looking for the best opportunity to do that. Actually, we were looking to invest in the opportunity zone, which this property is not in the opportunity zone. So we decided to just cut our teeth and see what the DC market is like. And to our surprise or our knowledge, DC has more rules, more engagement, more red tape than any other place we've invested. So we're excited to. We were excited. We were not excited to join to purchase a home because because of the condition of the home at first look. But we were encouraged by Dr. Joe's push to just invest.
Yes. As Dr. Joe basically been a mentor and stuff to us and stuff. Like I said, it was an ugly duckling. And the majority of the person, if you were to go up in there and take a look at it, uh, you would be willing to more or less want to walk away from it. We turned around and went up in there before we actually uh, basically said, yes, this is going to be it. We think we can do this. We actually went back and saw the properties 3, 4 times.
Right.
Um, just started turning around, taking a look at it, trying to get the vision of how can I transform this house into a better place to live, to get someone else the opportunity to live there and stuff. And it does take a vision. Sometimes you may not see it at first and stuff, but if you stick with it, you'll be able to see it. You can come together. We had an awesome team, and it's pretty easy to get into when you have the people that's there. Especially like within the DC market, is uh, it's everywhere. Like some of the stuff you can see in the background and stuff. With both military, we've been every time we move someplace, we buy a house and stuff. Because we'd rather turn around and buy our own house instead of then paying for someone else's. So we moved around a lot and stuff, but DC has been the biggest of all. That's all I said. So I'm gonna give it back to Dr. Joe now.
Oh, I'm sorry about I don't know what's going on my end. I've got I've got some technical issues over here. So I didn't know what you were saying. So hopefully whatever you said was good.
It was good. It was good.
You kept the thought going. So
Yeah, yeah, we saw you take a coffee break, so we decided to just get it
right.
going and stuff to you.
Oh my goodness. Okay. For everybody who's what's it called? Watching it. For some reason I've got some technical issues here on my side. It just started at 5 minutes before we started the live stream. Everything was great until 5 minutes. I don't know what was going on over here. Anyway, okay, so let's talk about some of the challenges and fears that you had before we're going to talk about the project in more detail. But before we start, a lot of investors are fearful of pulling the trigger, and taking action. So they attend meeting after meeting, they watch videos after videos, but they don't actually do anything. So what kind of got you to the point where you overcame your fears and decided to take action?
Um, we were originally wanted to invest as a multifamily home, but again, we wanted to invest in a multifamily unit. But again, as I stated earlier, the DC market is so different than any other market that we've invested in before. That multifamily unit, multifamily units that were available at the time were not. It's TOPA, and I can't remember what TOPA stands for, but it allows the tenant to have rights, more rights actually sometimes than the owner. So we couldn't find a vacant multi-unit. So we saw this house, and the challenge was what we saw from the beginning, because it was not turnkey at all. It was an investor's dream, even though it may have been perceived as a nightmare by some. But it was an investor's dream to go in and renovate it. So we, with the push from Dr. Joe, leapt into the water, just jumped in. Either we're going to swim or we're going to drown, and we became swimmers.
I can swim. You know,
You're a good swimmer. You're a good swimmer. I'll give you that. So okay, so we decided to pull the trigger, and then we
Yes.
came across this particular property. I know that for those people who don't know, kind of give us your first take when you first went into the house. And well, first of all, what prompted you to be interested in this particular house, and some of the due diligence that you went through before you said yes, we're going to buy it.
like I mentioned earlier and stuff. When Dr. Joe had to take a quick time out.
Oh,
Um,
oh, so okay, you've already answered the question. That's it.
let's say real quick. We had to visit the property several times. And when talking with Dr. Joe and stuff, you know, he just brought stuff up to us, things that we was not looking at and stuff. Now we know that whenever we go into a place, it may have, I might be getting ahead of myself, but it, it was bad. You had to wear a mask in there because we tore it down to the studs. And so
Yeah,
we still had to wear masks in there until they got the whole place cleaned up. So it was really bad and
yeah,
stuff. It should have been condemned by the health department and stuff, but
yeah,
it was bad. But um, part of my worry was when we was doing the rehab, you know, um, the thought was we were going to go quite a bit over budget, and we didn't. So that is a good thing. Cool.
So
What you doing?
the biggest fear for me was the unknown, because a lot of times, even on television, you see renovation projects that go, either they have scope creep or they have budget creep. And as Fitz just stated, we try to stay within budget, but we went just slightly over. But it was a good experience because we were able to use the tutelage of Dr. Joe to see beyond the what was before us, because we've never fully renovated our house before. So all we've done in the past was move a wall, add a door, but never fully gutting a house and then building something brand new. As Dr. Joe indicated, the house originally was 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and we couldn't see how we could end up with 6 bedrooms, but we did.
Yeah. And one of the big things about it is that it had the basement. And for me, the the filth and stuff that was in the basement, it did take a couple times going back, taking a look at it because it was bad and stuff. But here again, like my wife said, Dr. Joe, through his tutelage and everything, and saying, okay, take a look at it this way and stuff. And I can honestly say, I'm satisfied. I'm happy. It looks awesome.
Okay,
I
good.
thought we were going to go way more over budget, but,
We'll
you
talk,
know,
we'll talk about the
but,
budget in a second. So,
Mhm.
okay, so you again, I've got some technical issues on my side, so I really apologize. Every so often, it looks like I'm going to be going out and have to come back in again. So, our co-hosts for today, uh, they didn't know this, but they're going to be the co-hosts for today's session. Yeah. And okay, so we pulled the trigger. We saw the house. It was ugly, but we could see beyond the ugliness
Yes.
and see the potential of the property and so on. So let's briefly talk about the rehab.
Mhm.
The renovation. This was a major renovation. This wasn't a paint and carpet. As it was bad. It was. I know there's a lot of cat urine in the basement. It's very difficult to go there and walk through the house without getting really sort of disoriented and just it was bad news. Anyway, so we decided to go ahead. The first thing we had to do, obviously, was to think about the exit strategy.
Mhm.
I know one of the things that we wanted to do was to rent this out to a voucher holder. And one of the things about the voucher hold program is that the more bedrooms you have, the more rent you're going to get. And so I know that we decided we want to add some extra bedrooms. So do you want to take it from there in our thought process and how many bedrooms that we thought we needed, and what was it about this house that allowed us to do that?
Um, Again, we when we purchased the house, it was a 3 bedroom, 2 bath. The basement did not have bedrooms. It looked like it was a storage area, and before it became a storage area, it was probably a rec area in the basement. So because of that open space, um, I couldn't see it, but we were able to we were able to get 3 bedrooms in the basement and keep the 3 bedrooms on the second floor. The um the 3 bedrooms in the basement allowed us to maximize the voucher voucher program for us. It was able We were able to maximize the voucher program it allowed us to be in the best position financially as far as being able to at least cash flow some.
Right. Yeah. So one of the things that we wanted to do is to maximize number of bedrooms. So we are able to turn this 3 bedroom into a 6 bedroom. As
Mhm.
Callus was saying, the way we were able to do that was by having 3 bedrooms in the basement. That then allowed us to do that. Okay, so we had a vision. We knew what we had to do. Without going to the details of the rehab, can you just kind of summarize your experiences, some of the lessons learned, some of the good, the bad, the ugly about the actual rehab process? First of all, starting off with the contractors. What did you learn from working with contractors and so on, and the importance of contractors?
go ahead.
The importance of reliable, proficient, and skilled contractors was the greatest success story for us, because I heard some horror stories in the DC metropolitan area, and it's probably everywhere. You get a contractor that would take some funds, a deposit, and either they would do a poor job, or they would do no job, walk away with the funds, or they would do a poor job and then charge you to renovate or correct their errors. But our construction team was phenomenal, and actually they gave us some ideas that help us maximize the spaces in the house. The house has two washer dryer hookups, one in the basement, one in the one on the second floor, which allows flexibility for a larger family. Either they can have two sets, or in the future, if we decide, we can make the basement into an apartment, and it would be suited for an apartment dweller.
Yeah.
The
This is crazy.
Come on, let's stay on. You can't be laughing. You want
This is unbelievable.
yeah, but but
Uh,
but the contractors also, just continuing, the contractors also um, was able to see the vision, so we were able to move the powder room into a location that allowed us to maximize that space on the first level in a different way. So it was great that they were able to kind of see that, because of their experience and their exposure to projects, they were able to see some things that we couldn't see, or probably
right,
would not have thought of.
yeah.
right.
You
So
know,
what was
also,
some of okay, carry on.
what is it? Also, like down up in the basement and stuff. Um, they even made recommendations down there. Now we had to get a architect drawing and stuff, but the thing that they recommended that was different to move from what the architect had on the drawing, I believe it made everything come out much better and
Yeah,
stuff, especially on the main level with that door. Well, they mentioned when you try to bring something in, you had to come through this tight spot and just
right,
try to get the refrigerator in. It'd be too
right,
hard. So when we closed that in, turned it into a powder room,
right.
moved the door, so we had to cut into the wall and put a
Yeah,
door up,
yeah,
and it is much better now.
yeah.
And I'm happy with it.
I think the main thing I want to get to across to Peter viewers is the importance of having a good contractor
Mhm.
and the importance of communications. With regular communications with the contractor, and working through some of the challenges and problems, because
Yes.
we ran into problems, and if you have a good working relationship with a contractor, you can work through those problems,
Yes.
without sort of going to blows and people walking off the job and and sabotaging your your project.
Mhm.
You can work through those issues. And do you want to talk about how often we met, or you met, with the contractors, and what was a typical contractor meeting like?
We met with the contractor as a tabletop meeting once a week on Fridays. What we discussed was what happened during the week, what challenges they faced. Was there anything that we needed to discuss as far as a remedy is concerned? And then we discussed what was planned for the following week. So at the tabletop meeting, it was just a discussion about what went right or wrong that week, and then what was planned for the following week. Additionally, so on Friday meeting, on Saturday, we did an on-site meeting when we looked at what happened during the week and the progress. And I think it's important. I didn't know it at the time, but it is important that you have weekly visits with the contractor to kind of talk about the challenges, so that there are no assumptions. And as Dr. Joe stated earlier, the communication line of communications have to be open in order for the project to be successful. And also, if you take pictures along the way, you get to see the progress from what was to what is today, and then what will be as a final project.
Even when we wasn't able to, when stuff come up and we wasn't able to even go there and meet, the contractor was automatically take pictures and send pictures to us to let us know what they've accomplished and stuff. And they'll even send it to a message and stuff to us about what, you know, their progress and stuff if they had an issue and stuff. Because there was one thing that the incident that happened there, I didn't even know about it until like a month afterward. They just took care of it and stuff and just doing leisure talking and stuff. And they were like, yeah, yeah, we took care of that and stuff. So I have to say, truly, vet your contractors and stuff. and make sure that you have good ones and stuff. And we had good.
Yeah. Okay. I got a couple of questions coming in, so let me just go to it. Go on from Dow 2. He's a regular. He's from Phoenix, Arizona. How did you release payments to the contractor, and how did you break up the the draws and and contractor payments? Kind of talk about that.
So our financial product that we use is called a 201k Fannie Mae product. It allowed us to acquire the house and have renovations. And a part of that product mandated that you have to have it's government. So government is very bureaucratic. So it vetted them as a contractor, even though we had vetted them too. That it They vetted them. They had to have license, bonding, proof, and proof again. And then they asked for a scope of requirements, and the scope of requirements indicated draws throughout. So the maximum draws we could have was 5. So we had to sit down with the contractor to make sure that when when we started the project, as the draws were given, whatever funding that they had was suitable for the next phase of the project. So it was 5 draws, Fannie Mae product 203K, that allowed us to keep the project funded and as close to on time as we can make it. Again, the greatest delay for us was the permitting process through DC.
Yeah.
So, so that was the only setback for us.
Right. Yeah. So in terms of the draws, so what Corliss is saying is that for those people, you start with a project, you have an idea what the end goal is. You then develop a scope of work. A scope of work is a document that describes in detail what is that you want to get done. Electrical work, plumbing, mechanical, HVAC, building. I mean, you document in detail. From that, you then sit down with a contractor and to discuss the draws, how the payments are going to be dispersed in terms of milestones. So if you complete task 1, 2, 3, then this is due. You complete task 3, 4, 5, this is due. 6, 7, 8, that's due, and so on. So you base your draws on completion of milestones, and that's what Callus and Fitz did. And so it keeps everybody honest. You don't get paid unless
Yes.
you complete certain things.
Yes.
Otherwise, the contractor is going to want money, even though they
No.
haven't done the work.
The,
And
the,
you get into those issues.
the one story that's not so funny was well, it wasn't as funny at the time, but we had been working with the lender to get a draw. We solidified the requirements for the draw. We were ready for the draw, and when I went to contact the specialist, the loan specialist, she was no longer working for the bank, and I didn't know she wasn't working for the bank. So the contractor was waiting on me to pay him. I couldn't get in touch with the bank. And then I just ended up calling customer service asking for that individual. And I found out that on Friday was their last day and they abruptly no longer were working for the company. So I don't know the story behind that, but that was it was just like a setback. It set us back like a week and a half, but they were
Yeah.
very patient and understanding because that was out of our scope of control.
Yeah.
And also with this Fannie Mae, by being government, they're their own people. Once a milestone was hit, they're their own people have to come out and do an inspection and check and make sure before, and that person sends that stuff in to them, say yes, this was done, you can pay them. But then on top of that, they would keep 10% of what they're supposed to pay out to give them once the job is totally completed
Yeah.
and stuff. And that's something we didn't realize and stuff until we got into the drawing stuff. And the contractor was like, they're not giving me this much money. We did this much,
Yeah.
but it was out of our control and stuff.
Yeah.
And eventually they understood it and stuff like that and
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have draws, and again, you work with your contractors such that as the milestones are completed, you should have a third party, like an inspector or somebody else, to verify that the work is done. Because if you're not a techie, the contractor may say, yeah, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. If you don't really know, then you may release funds when in fact they haven't done that. So it's always good to have a third party, someone who's independent, who has the technical knowledge to actually confirm based on a physical inspection that the work has in fact been completed. Okay, so one thing you talked about was one of the delays was the architect and the permits.
Yes.
And this was a major project, and we did get the services of an architect. Do you want to kind of talk about the role that the architect did, and both in the design but also navigating through the permitting process? If you just a high level.
Yes. So we gave him our. Of course, he looked at the as is of layout of the house. He provided a 2B. We approved the 2B. Once we approved the 2B, he submitted the permit for us, and he kind of shepherded or oversaw the that process through the DC permitting the permitting office, which he has connections because he's done several architectural projects. So that allowed us to kind of, even though it was a month, 3 weeks to a month in the process for us, it still was shorter than what it could have been, because I think it's 6 to 8 weeks is the standard time.
Yeah. So you got to have a permits when you're doing major work like this. I don't recommend that you do this without permits, because if you do and you get caught, usually by the neighbors, and we have some very interesting neighbors. If you get caught, then the government could turn around and put what we call a stop work order on the property, and also will fine you. So whenever you do a major work that does require permits, it's always a good idea to get permits. And in this case, we had about 4 or 5 permits. We had a building permit, we had an electrical permit, we had a plumbing permit, we had a HVAC permit, and we had the electrical permit. And all that.
Demolition also. Demolition.
And the demolition permit as well, yes. So we're completely above board, because we had some very interesting neighbors, so we had to make sure we had to be on board. Otherwise, they would certainly cause problems. And we'll talk about the neighbors a bit later on. But okay, so let's move it on. So got a couple of questions here. From Ty, how long from when you found the property to when you completed the rehab?
We found the property at the end of January. We closed at the end of February, and we finished the project the end of September.
Okay, so February to September, that's about 8 months. Yeah, but this was a major renovation.
Yes, okay. Down to the studs.
Everything was new, right? We took the building literally back down to the studs, and and so on. So we're talking about 6 to 8 months rehab for a project like this. And do you want to share how much the rehab budget was?
The rehab budget was $300,000.
Yeah,
and we came in just a little bit over at 315. I think is where we were.
Yeah. So we did this project was estimated at 300, and they ended up spending around 315. One thing I learned, I mean, that's pretty good. One thing I learned about rehabs is 3 things. One is it never goes under budget. I haven't done a project where it's under budget before. I'd be surprised I spent less money than I thought. That's never happened. Number 2, it always takes longer than what you expect it to be. We're talking 6 to 8 months here, and which I'm sure, looking back, is probably took you longer than what you thought it would be. Would I be fair in saying that? And number three, that usually happens, but I don't think we had this issue on this project, was you always have disputes and you have a fight, you have disagreements, let's just put it that way, with the contractors. Yeah, there's always contracts and battles, but I don't think we had too many of those today.
No,
so,
no.
God, sorry.
I said no. I agree.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a good question. So, just have a look, see if I can answer another one. How do you call? Dow 2 wants to know, how do you qualify for the 203K Fannie Mae product? Is this product only available to veterans?
No, actually, it's a Fannie Mae product, so it is available to the public. We did not use the VA loan, so it's a public product that's available to anyone. The lender just has to offer it. So if you go to a bank or you go to any kind of lending institute that offers the product, but
Yeah.
it's a government. It's just government.
Yeah. So this is a Fannie Mae product, and as long as you qualify, you're available. It doesn't have to be any special requirements in terms of you work for the government, you work for the military, or that kind of thing. You just have to qualify for the product. And since it's Fannie Mae, I assume it's national, so it could be anywhere throughout the country, and so on. So, okay, what was the most challenging thing about working together? I mean, you're a spouse. Yeah, maybe let's start off with you two first. They bring me in afterwards.
She's always saying, and I'm not.
Yeah, what was the most important? What was the most challenging thing about working together throughout this process?
We've been married 36 years, so that in and of itself allowed us to work together. And we've worked on other projects before, but on this project, we just had to be careful that we stayed as close to budget as we could. And sometimes I would make a blind eye decision that cost us a little bit. And the reason that we went over budget wasn't because we discovered something excessive. It was we moved the door, so that cost us some money. We added a few more windows. Install a few more windows than what we planned originally. So it was things like that that made us go above the budget, but we wanted to just replace all the windows instead of just a few. So working together, I mean, we live together, so it's easy.
I can spend grand here.
Do you want to add to that, Fitz? What was the most challenging part of working together?
No, it is okay. Going through this product and stuff, working together. I was a president.
Yes.
I am the president going through, so everything got to come to me. So whenever there's something that the contractors look fine, just like that door, the window, and stuff like that, or other kind of suggestions they made, and they get pointed over. What do the president say? Well, I got to check with my administration because I got to sleep with them.
Right.
But it all worked together. The whole time I've joked around, Kitty going through. She was always super serious on everything going through, but me, I was just, hey, it is what it is. Okay, yes, I agree with that. We can do that, or no, we can't do that. And so,
I think, I want to add to that. My observations. You have a great partnership. It's clear that you work as a team. It was clear that you wanted this project to be a success, but you also wanted to make sure that it was harmony. It wasn't adversarial where somebody gets upset and so on. I mean, we had some discussions about ideas, and but ultimately, I know that Fitz, we call Fitz the president. So because at some point you do need somebody to make a final decision. There has to be in a project like that. And Fitz, we call him the president. He was he made the executive decisions when it had to come. Okay? And that's important. Because let me for the viewers, I've had a couple of partnerships before. with other investors who are, I wasn't married to them. I've been married 30 years. So these are, partners in the sense of business, business partners. And one I remember, I did a project where, my personality is very level. I don't get upset very easily. So the whole world could be crashing around me. I'm still level. Okay, let's focus on number one. Let's get number one out of the way. So I'm very level-headed. I don't go up and down. This other person was not like that at all. I mean, when something went wrong, whoa, it was very challenging. And so you for those people who are considering partnerships, be careful, because when you have a project like this, you've got to be on the same page. And you really only know somebody is when things go wrong, and then the people's true colors come out, and so on. So it's always good to have partners, but be careful, because not everything goes smoothly. And you always have to be able to communicate and make sure that you stay focused. And if you don't have a partner who's also focused, then the project could go downhill real fast. And so on. So kudos to you guys, and to seeing this thing through, despite some of the ups and downs that we went through in getting there. Okay, another question. That's not okay. How? Ty says that's not bad at all for a major rehab. And let's have a look. This is down to, if it's not too personal of a question, what was the original purchase price?
The original purchase price was $525. The original ask was $675. Like 6 months before we saw the house, we were able to negotiate down to $525.
Yeah. So it was originally placed on the market for $625. It didn't move, and they slowly but surely reduced the price. It didn't move because the house was in bad condition, and it was only a major hardcore investor would have bought this house. Harry homeowner would not have bought this house at all, and so eventually the seller had to get reasonable. And they lowered the price, and ultimately they were able to negotiate it down to $525. So they bought it for $525. The rehab, let's just keep it round numbers, it's $300, although it's $315. So that's $825,000 in terms of cash. Obviously, there's other costs like financing costs and things like that. But let's just keep it round numbers. Let's just say $850. Okay, and so on. So for those people who are thinking, $850,000. Where we are, we could buy a castle for that. Yeah, in DC, 850,000 is no big deal. Yeah, it's the crazy. So obviously, with those kind of numbers, in order to cash flow, you're going to need to get some serious rents. Okay, otherwise you're a serious negative cash flow. So let's kind of transition to we've done the rehab. Now we're going to the tenant, the marketing and tenant selection phase. We have a tenant, and so on. So the first thing we did for this house was to stage the house. And tell us, because you saw the house before and you saw the house after, and a lot of investors don't stage. Okay, they don't see the value in staging. They see it as an expense. Something that it's not worth doing. Give us your take on how you think the final product looked and how it helped you in getting a quality tenant.
Well, everybody came in. They totally, they loved the house when they saw it coming in. The way it was staged and stuff. Now we didn't stage every room. It was just the big ones, the family room area, master bedroom, a little child's room where a person could turn around and say, okay, yeah, I can see my little child staying in that room. So we just staged that on each level. It was staged out. Like in the basement, it was only one room.
Well, hold on a minute. You say the eyes only. it made a huge difference.
Yes,
I mean,
that's what
can
I
you
was
imagine
going to say.
if the house was empty? Okay, talk about
That's
that.
what I was going to say. It allows an individual to come in and bring their flavor to an already look staged house. So if you walked into the house and it was empty, you'd have to figure out, okay, what can I do? What can I do? With the stage house, you can already have ideas about how you can lay out your what you have your contents in the house. So I think it's important to have it staged. I look at it as an investment that kind of helps with it helps us and it helps the tenant to identify how they're going to live in the house.
Yeah, my take on that is the bottom line is this: they're going to rent the house,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not the only house in Washington that these tenants are looking at. You know, you got in other words, you got competition. And
Mm-hmm.
we're all vying for this great tenant, the tenant that pays the rent on time, the tenant that's clean, is responsible, no drama. We're all looking for that person. Okay, I want them, Corliss wants them, Fitz wants them, everybody wants that tenant. Okay, so we have to accept that we're in competition, and we have to differentiate ourselves from the others such that we can appeal to this tier one tenant. We have to, otherwise it's why should they come to my house versus your house? And what was clear to me, because I saw the house before it was staged and it looked
Mm-hmm.
nice. It was a beautiful renovation, but it was a rehab.
Mm-hmm.
After staging, it looked like a home.
Right.
Okay, and there's a difference between a rehab and a home, because at the end of the day we are renting to families and we want to build emotions, because people base their make a lot of decisions based on emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And a stage house incorporates emotions. It talks to people. It's inviting, it's welcoming. It says this is home, and my couch can go here, my TV can go here, my dining table can go here. They can see it all.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's just a matter of, do I like this neighborhood, or does this house, is it the right size for me, and things like that. So a lot of those questions that they otherwise would have is answered through staging. It's not free, but in my opinion, anyway, it's just me. It's what sets your house apart from the other houses that were also out there.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, so we staged the house. And with that, what's the time now? It's, oh my goodness. Oh, 7:50. Okay, so oh my goodness. Okay, we're gonna have to wrap this up, guys. So let's talk about the tenant that we selected. Do you
Yes.
want to talk about the process we went through to eventually select that tenant?
We did an open house a couple of days pre. They had to have an appointment in order for us to show up. So pre pre-appointed tenants. So we would have open house for a week. At the end of that week, we decided to select the individual. Actually, that was the first individual to come to the house. We ended up doing a home visit with all of the members of the house. We asked them questions. They asked us questions. We toured their home to see if to make sure that they would treat the house that they're living in now the same as we would like the way they treat their current home. Uh, is it equal to how we would want them to treat our house? And we enjoyed that tour. We enjoyed meeting with the children of the house, and we ended up selecting that family to move into the house. And it probably took about 2 weeks before we made the final decision.
Yeah. So this is the key, is selecting can you spend all $300,000 on this renovation? The last thing you need is someone's going to destroy that. Okay.
Yes.
So you've got to you got to have somebody who's going to protect your asset. Someone's going to protect your investment. And my take is that if you make a mistake here, i.e., you get the wrong person in your house, it's a disaster waiting to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You'll regret ever buying this house. You'll say, why am I doing this real estate stuff. Let me do eBay. Let me do Amway. It's and so on. So it's really, really important to screen your tenants correctly. So we ended up with a family. It's a 6-bedroom voucher. Do you want to share with them the proposed rent?
I shared the proposed rent where we asked for $67.95 for the rent, and we're still going through the DC process, so we don't know what we will get in the end, but that's the affordable market rate rent for the DC area. So I know it may sound like a lot for some areas of the country, but that's the market rate rent for DC, which is why we were really interested in investing in a market that would appreciate, and a voucher tenant allowed us to have some resiliency with the ebbing and flowing of the economy, and still be able to pay the mortgage without it impacting us directly.
So I know there's a lot of people fell off their chairs when they heard that number. Okay, I gotta say it again just in case you missed it. $6,795. Okay, is what they are asking. They may not get it all, but that's what the comparables are saying here in Washington D.C. So you may wonder, why would they buy a house at $525, spend $300,000 on the renovation? Okay, and what kind of rent would they need to support a debt like that? And you've got the answer. Despite the fact that they bought this house, they're in it for at least $850,000. They can still cash flow. They still are going to. At the end of the day, there's equity in the house. The house, the house is. I don't know. We haven't done the appraisal yet, but what do you think the house is going to appraise at?
Between $950 and $1 million.
Yeah, so they're going to have at least $100,000 worth of equity on day one. They're going to have a few $100s in cash flow on day one. They got a house in a great neighborhood, in an appreciating market like the Washington D.C. market. So over time, I mean, nobody knows the future, but history tells us in this market that prices tend to increase in value. And so the goal is that if they hold it for 5 to 10, 15 years, it's going to be worth a lot more than what it is today. But if they didn't buy it today, 5, 10, 15 years from now, they'll be regretting why they didn't buy it in 2024 when it was, quote, cheap. $800,000 is cheap. Crazy. But that's the market that we're in. We can't say that's the same in every market, but hopefully you understand the rationale and the thought process, behind the BRRRR strategy with a Section 8 twist. This is the reason why I do it. This is the only way. I can't think of another way of making this thing work beyond maybe having roommates, individual people, like you have a 6-bedroom house, 6 individuals, because you can get more rent that way by renting to individuals as opposed to a market renter. But the Section 8 way, in my opinion, is got to be a good way, and especially if you have a good tenant. How long did that tenant? How long did she want? Did she say how long she wants to stay in the house for?
Forever.
Exactly. So you have somebody who wants to stay there forever. Okay. What was their portion of the rent now currently? I forgot.
She doesn't. I think it's $300 right now.
Okay. So this tenant is in a house in a $1 million neighborhood, and she's paying $300. So my question to everybody on this live stream is, if you were able to live in the $1 million neighborhood and your rent was $300, how long would you stay there for? Okay. Now you understand that this thing can work, because you're going to have a family who's very thankful that you've given them an opportunity. I mean, they're very appreciative I mean, you've met with them several times. I met with them a couple of times, but I mean, I think they're very, very appreciative.
Yes.
You know, I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
to talk about the the instant when we offered them the house. Maybe that's a good one.
They were very nonchalant, like yay. But their mom said that once we left the house, after we told them the news that we selected them, they just lost their mind because they were so happy, very
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah. Because one of the sons basically in the house where they are right now is sleeping on the sofa, or if somebody's not there and stuff, go jump in another bed. So now everybody can have their own bedroom, their own bed and stuff, and you know they're happy.
Yeah,
They are happy.
yeah. I mean, yes, we can make money, which we should do as investors, but also we can make a huge difference in people's lives.
Yes. More
You know,
important,
I
yes.
mean, just the to me anyway. This is why I do it. It's so nice to be able to give people the chance to make a difference in people's lives,
Mhm.
and it's very rewarding. You know, it's not always just about you. Sometimes it's good to help others,
Mhm.
and this way we're able to help other people who don't have the chances and the opportunity to hopefully make a significant difference in their lives. You know, and so I know it's now 5 7. Let me give a plug. So on Saturday, if you're in the DC area, we're going to go to, we just kind of skimmed the surface today.
Mhm.
But on Saturday, we're going to go into a lot more detail. We have an event, you know, between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. So please, if you're in the DC area, register. Go to my website, www.joeasimo.com, www.joeasimo.com, and sign up. It's going to be a great opportunity to meet my co-host, Fitz and Corliss. They're, as you can see, they're really down to earth people, really great
Yes.
people, and be a chance to meet with them, and they'll be sharing their story. We'll go into the numbers. We'll go into more detail about this project, and we'll talk about the good, the bad, the ugly. It's not always smooth. Things go wrong, but you can do this.
Yes.
It's doable. You know, you know, and so on. So I'm gonna kind of let's have a look. See if I can get the banner back on the screen. So you can see the screen. So yeah, so it's gonna be this Saturday between 11 and 1. And Mastering BRRRR, Rehab, Rent, and Section 8 Wins is the title of the session. And we have our stars in front of us. You can get their autographs. You know, and so on. So let's have a look. We've got a couple more questions before we have to wrap this up. Let's have a look. Da-da. How do you ask the potential tenant, can you visit their current home?
As a part of the application process, you're upfront with what's required. So when they're filling out an application, we say, we're at the end of if at the end of this process, we will visit your home, and they can say yes or no. We had some that just kind of self disqualified because that was one of the items. She says, "Oh, I'm living with somebody," and he said, "Well, we can come by and look at where you live," but they didn't even show up for the house visit.
They,
So it was
they didn't even fill out the
yeah.
application. They're like, you
So
know,
so they some that's a red flag for us in this process. So if you don't want to show us where you live, then you don't need to live where we live. So that's kind of
yeah,
where.
yeah. We had got to understand money's not that important. So why should I let you come to my house and see? But to me, we've already given you the numbers. And I can't trust nobody up in there that's gonna be tearing my stuff up.
Yeah.
Let me see how you living, because that in itself, as far as I'm concerned, can disqualify you. And
Yeah.
so
uh,
I'm not gonna take the chance with you.
Yeah. My experience for those people who are uncomfortable asking people is this: if you really want to know how your house is going to be in 3 months, if you really, really want to know, you cannot tell by how they dress, what kind of car they got, what kind of job they got, what kind of salary they make. That's got absolutely nothing to do with how they keep their house. If you want to know how your house is going to be in 3 months, you better go to their house, because that's how your house is going to be in 3 months. And if you go to that home and you don't like what you don't like what you see, I can guarantee you this: if you rent to them, you're not going to like what you see as well after 3 months. So, a lot of people are uncomfortable with that. But, as Callus was saying, Fitz was saying, we just make it straight up front. This is the process. There's no surprises. If you are interested in this house, we're going to verify certain things. We're going to contact your current landlord, your previous landlords, or we're going to check your income and credit, but also we're going to go to your house. And the thing, and this is another really important point, is that you've got a house that they want. You got a beautiful house that they want. And that's really important, because if somebody wants something, you can raise the bar. And if they want it, they'll say, no problem, I'll do what I got to do to get into your house. And so on. So we can raise the bar because we have a quality product in a quality neighborhood, which is going to be ideal for a quality tenant. And most quality tenants are not intimidated by you coming to their home. They're proud of their home. They take care of their home. They don't have no problem with you coming there, and so on. So, again, this is what I do. I always do that, and it works, and so on. But it's now past 8 o'clock, and so I'm going to wrap it up. So I want to thank Fitz and Corliss for being the co-host for today. I had some technical issues on my side, so apologies for everybody. Is there any closing words you want to share, Fitz and Corliss?
I would just say we look forward to seeing you on Saturday so you can hear more of our story, and know that if we can do this, so can you. It's just a matter of your will to do.
That's what she said. Obviously, I'm just the president. It's my minister.
Okay, she said
No,
it all.
it's been a pleasure talking to you and stuff. It's not, it's hard, but it's not hard. Okay. The big thing is, from my perspective, is you got to be willing to take a risk on something, because it's always better to do something better than to do nothing. Find something that's going to be there. Learn as much as you can and stuff. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. There's stuff that's out there, like this platform right now, that you're listening to, and you can actually just tap into this here and stuff. And if I get approved for a loan and stuff, okay, this is what I want to do, and try to start it off and stuff in your neighborhood, you know. Like, let's just say the first house we bought for $72,000 and stuff, and we ended up selling it for 200, 325. Okay,
Well, yeah,
but
yeah,
that was a lot of years, but it was in a total different market. That market was in Colorado. That is nothing like the DC community. So every place have their own niche and market and stuff, and you got to look at it that way, because there's no way back in our hometown would I have paid that much money for a house and that much money to renovate it, and that's back in the state of Mississippi. It would have never happened, because the cost of living and everything is much lower there compared to what it is up here.
yeah,
So give it a shot, look into it, come see us and stuff, ask us any question, I answer it freely.
yeah. So come on down on Saturday. Go to my website, www.joeasimo.com. Let me see if I can put it on the screen for those people who don't know. Let's have a look. I suppose it's this one. well, forget the book on one-on-one, but you can go to the website, www.joeasimo.com. And again, for those people who got some real estate issues, questions, challenges that they're facing, you can always book a one-on-one with me. I'd be more than happy to, to spend some time. We'll do a deep dive into your issues, challenge, and so on. As Fitz is saying, there's no need to recreate the wheel. The wheel's been created. What you need to do is to, build on that, and have the courage and take action. So we'll see you everybody on Saturday. Again, go to my website, joeasimo.com, sign up there, and you'll see the stars. Live and direct. You can get their autographs and so on. So with that said and done, my friends, I'm going to wrap it up. And so we'll see you on Saturday. Otherwise, I'll see you next Wednesday. And have a great time. Take care, guys. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay.